Hey everyone, I'm Jay Rodriguez and welcome to Vibe with Pride. I will be your host during this musical, fantastical journey, and all I can think of is, oh my God, oh, where is it? There it is. I left something on the floor and I didn't pick it up, but you've all been here. This is the new normal. This is how we are negotiating, still keeping art and connectivity alive in a day and age that is solely virtual as we try to protect ourselves and our fellow man. I know as a queer American, I am entering this Vibe with Pride with a different level of joy and excitement for hopefully the new direction that our country will be taking. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, make sure that you are following San Diego Pride. They're going to put up their socials in a bit, and all the artists that I'll be chatting with today, because they really are fantastic. And before I introduce you to them, I want to say that one of the things that I find so remarkable about today's guests is these are folks who really carved out their own way. They decided that the traditional path maybe wasn't for them, and they made the world listen. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm so incredibly inspired. And in case you're new to Vibe with Pride, we basically interview LGBTQ plus artists who are really making an impact in music and storytelling. Because to be honest, even coming from a place where I worked in radio, terrestrial radio, where it was supposed to be geared toward an LGBTQ plus audience. However, when it came to indie artists, it was so few and far between that we get to have on air with us, and even less that got any radio play at all. That needs to change. And how that changes is with shows like Vibe with Pride. So I want to big ups to San Diego Pride for making this happen. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guests. I know many of you already know because you're big fans, including folks like Flavia or perhaps Sarah from Transviolet. They are my two guests today, and we might have a third who might pop in, but I'm not going to announce them until I can confirm. It's a tricky time right now. Listen, who knows what is what. But for now, please say hello to Flavia, and from Transviolet, Sarah. Hey girls. Hi ladies. How
Hello, what's up?
Yes. All right, now listen, I'm just gonna already embrace the fact that we are broadcasting live, and at any moment, any one of us loses feed, we will just come right back and figure it out. So not to worry there. Also, I kind of love because Flavia, you were so smart by having your handle there. My handle is just my name, which is hilarious. Transviolet, I think your handle as well is just at Transviolet.
Yeah, except for on Twitter, I think it's like at Transviolet Band.
Got it. Yeah, I do have my own socials for a long time too. So Flavia, let me start with you because you're not in the States at the moment, even though we've met in the States. So where are you in the world right now? I'm glad to see you're safe.
I am doing alive and well, thankfully. I'm currently in Ireland, out in the deep countryside of Ireland. This is where and my home I grew up in. I grew up out this side of the woods, and so I've been in Europe the last 10 months since the pandemic hit, pretty much 9 months, however long it's been. Decided to come back this way since that all happened, and so
I love so that
you're. I'm sorry if my response.
No, you're good. Listen, I mean, just it's better than being in LA. We're really going through it right now, but thankfully that we're able to talk. And so I want to talk to you, Sarah. Now, Sarah, you are you're one of a handful of artists that represent Transviolet. You have a band, and they're not with you at the moment. So before we go any further, can you just share a little bit about who else is in Transviolet?
Yeah, I'm Sarah. I'm the lead singer of Transviolet, and I'm in a band of 3 other guys. Yeah, we're all quarantining in different places. So John and Mike are down in San Diego, actually quarantining at Mike's parents' house, and then Judah is here in LA as well, quarantining with his girlfriend. So yeah, we've been having to get creative with how we're making music right now too.
I love it. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
So listen, I want to talk about quarantine music because you kind of brought that up, Transviolet. And Sarah, I feel like, I don't know, can I call you Sarah? Is it weird?
You can call me whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay.
Sarah, Transviolet, whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I've been following your work, and I think one of the things that was most fascinating is folks who are actually making art in this time. Right. And for myself, I got the opportunity to do some safe television work last year, but it was really tricky. But for artists, before we get into the specifics of where you came from and all that stuff, how's this year been for you, Sarah, as an artist trying to make art happen while all of our emotions are so incredibly high, and we're experiencing things universally that we've never gone through in our lives before, but at the same time?
I know. Yeah, I mean, it's been incredibly challenging. We were actually on tour when when COVID started getting really serious. So we actually had to cut our tour short and come home 5 shows early, which was like really hard on us. You know, we're an indie band, and anytime you go on tour, it's a big financial risk. And we were projecting really well. We'd sold out a bunch of the last 5 shows. So we were just like, no, that sucks so bad. But you kind of just have to roll with the punches, and that's what we've been doing. So we've been taking this opportunity to really like reflect on what we want to say as artists and write a whole bunch of new music. We had a song come out in November. We have another song coming out next month. And we have like enough music for 2 albums at this point. So we're just going to keep writing until there's nothing to write about. And there's a lot to talk about right now.
There's a lot. And I'm going to get into that. I actually have specific questions for each of you based on just your music and some things that I think your fans wanted to know. Certainly as a fan, I was like, this is my chance to ask. But Flavia, I want to know for you, have you felt the same? I mean, has this time inspired the art, and like, how did it pause what you already had going on?
Yeah, I feel so incredibly grateful and lucky to be a creative through something like this happening in the world, and to have music and art as an outlet to channel my emotions this year. I'll say last year, in my brain, I'm still in 2020 for some reason. Always like crossover. But I had a record number of songs that I wrote last year. I wrote over 90 songs and just spent my time in a whole writing. So that was a really beautiful thing to come out of the year for me. And I was in Berlin for 3 months writing with a lot of producers out there. So that was a really interesting, cool time. I got to switch things on. Of course, it was really hard when the pandemic hit. I was supposed to go on my first tour. I was supposed to play a ton of headlining a couple Pride shows. I was being flown to Miami to play Pride out there, and it just seemed all so exciting. And so, obviously that all comes on pauses, but luckily I was able to shift gears and just create.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're both here with me tonight. I'm going to start with you, Flavia, while we're chatting now. You released your recently released the debut EP Out Loud. Can you talk to me a little about next week you're dropping Ripe? And so I just want to kind of just check in where you're at musically and where we at now with Flavia, because I got to meet you I think about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, when I was working in radio, and I just remember like, who I have to follow, who is this woman? And I was so I was so drawn to you and your energy and the kind of music you put out. So talk to me about your Out Loud EP, and then also your single.
Yeah, so I put out Loud towards the end of last year as my debut EP. It's a fully queer centered EP. I just wanted to put something out. It was supposed to come out for Pride Month, and that didn't happen because of all the crazy shit that was happening during Pride Month. Right. But it's really special. I mean, there is my song Blue, which is the first song I ever wrote about a girl, which started me on this whole important queer journey 5 years ago. There is a song Them, which I wrote about a relationship I was in with a trans person. And we did a follow-up docu-series called Them on Reverie TV, which is queer TV.
Which I saw, I loved, and I thought was fantastic. And I think everyone's must-see TV. Please watch.
Yes, please watch. It's such an important, I think, beautiful, important documentary. 5-minute episodes, 3 episodes, extremely informative. Like I said, almost 3 a.m. words aren't coming out fully. Extremely informative. Whether you're cis or trans, I think it's full of inspirational stories. And the music video as well, we shot with over 50 transgender non-conforming people, and it was really wonderful. So, and then there's a couple, you know, party bangers in there as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was gonna let you finish. Sorry.
Yeah, that's Out Loud, and then I've got my debut 2021 single coming out next Friday called Right.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about influence. You know, sometimes where we come from can always kind of stay with us, whether it's our vibe, you know, which that's like my, when I try to explain someone's essence, I'm like, you know, like their vibe, like their, which is why the show is named Vibe with Pride. And so I want to talk to you, Sarah, because, you know, I know a bunch about your backstory, but I want to allow you to tell your own story. I know part of it was you guys all acquired each other from different places, and they became this band that really locked down for 2 years and wrote in the San Fernando Valley. And there's a fantastic story about how you took that art and spread it to about 2,000 people at first through manila envelopes. And so if you would share for the new fans who maybe don't know that story, how you made that happen, because I think it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, we were trying to cut through the noise of, I mean, I don't know, I just feel like everyone is so like in screens nowadays. It's like, it's really hard to get someone to like click on something if they've never heard of it before. Yeah. So we thought, like, how can we just break through and get people to like hear our new song that we all love so much called Girls Your Age? And yeah, we came up with this idea to make these cassette tapes and just literally like send them to people in the mail, like on unmarked envelopes. And when you open the envelope, it was just this unmarked cassette that said, just press play. And it really like freaked a lot of people out. Like we were getting comments on our Facebook, like, do I have a stalker? Like, who is this? Like, what is this song? Like, we had like concerned mothers like messaging us, like, this was sent to my 16-year-old daughter. Like, who is this? We're like, we swear we're not creeps. We're just sharing some new music. But yeah, it went really well, and it got a lot of buzz, and I think it worked in the way we wanted it to, by kind of just like shaking things up and like really breaking past all that white noise of people trying to you know, get you to click on something new, because it was literally like in people's hands.
Sure. And I come from like my first, like, I've always been in ensemble things. I mean, you know, every now and again I get to work as a solo person, but you're in an ensemble. I mean, the band, basically there are other personalities and stuff. And so how do you as a band divvy who does what? And like, because, you know, you're also incredibly talented in your own way. How do you navigate that with, you know, other folks?
I think we're really lucky in the way that we all just have really different passions, and we have things that we're attracted to, and it just happened to like snap into place. Like, no one in our band is really like a diva or needs to like have all the attention or needs to like get all the credit. We're totally down to like share ideas and vibe off of each other. And yeah, I mean, we're just like lucky that it's worked out that way. Because when one person kind of like loses energy or is feeling burnt out, like someone's there to pick up the torch. So yeah,
I love that.
Fortunate.
Yeah, and so Flavia, to you, because we're talking about how you know, Transviolet, they've locked down in the San Fernando Valley of all places to be songwriting for 2 years, creating great art, and you have had a journey where you grew up in Ireland and Italy. And so I guess my question to you is, part of your journey of living in so many different places, did that impact the music? And if it did, like, what parts of that experience find their way into the sounds of what you create, if at all?
Yeah, this is our question, because I think where I grew up and my background and living history informed me so much as a person. And then the person writes the music. So I know that it had to have had this crazy impact on my music in some way, or my life experiences, or my thirst for travel and connection and making new friends, which then informs my writing in some way, but indirectly. I haven't been able to find the conscious one or two elements that directly go into my music from that. But it's definitely something I'm very grateful for. This sort of, it was a tough thing as a kid, but also something now as an adult that I'm like, oh, that's cool, and that's allowed me to be creative anywhere in the world. You know, I've been living dramatically this whole year of the pandemic, and it's been really cool getting to make music I was in Paris and Berlin and Ireland and back in Italy for a bit. So it's been special for that.
I don't mean to make you pick, and please don't feel like you need to have a favorite, but when you, and this is for each of you, but I'm gonna start with Flavia, when you do tour, or when you have toured, or when you've written, is there a specific city or place in which you just feel overwhelmed with creativity because something about that place just like feeds your soul in a way, and you're like, it's inexplicable, but you just feel inspired when you're there?
For me, it kind of depends on what kind of trip it is. You know, if you're really trying to relax and with family and friends versus, I mean, for example, I already mentioned I was in Berlin working for a few months, and that was, to me, it was like 3 months here doing as many songs as possible, and I was just in that mode. And I was also in an exciting new city, so I was inspired by a lot and by the people I'd meet. So I don't know that I have a specific city or place, but I have specific moments that I remember that are special when songs just kind of vomited out of my soul onto the page.
I love that. I love that so much. So same question for you, Sarah, from Transviolet. Sir, is there a place where you have either just loved to play, or that oddly you were like, oh my God, something about being here, like things are just coming to me, or I feel inspired by just being in this place? Because oddly, this year for me, it became my bedroom because it had to be. And so like all of this is wildly like new, the backlight and the like everything, just, I was like, well, lean into this is your new habitat,
right.
You know?
I think that's such a good way to look at it. And yeah, I mean, I felt super inspired just in my bedroom this time too. But, you know, yeah, I feel like Los Angeles, and maybe this is a bit of a cop out because it's like where I live, but from the second I got here, I've always just felt really inspired by the ambitious energy of Los Angeles. Like everybody here has come here to like pursue a dream, and that energy is like really infectious, and I love that. That's why I love LA, and it'd be really hard for me to move. Also, I feel like just being on any like trip in general, like when I'm on tour and just like in a different city every night, like that's like really inspiring energy as well. Just like seeing different places, or being out in nature in general, like just going out and being, you know, in the mountains, like that feels really good.
2019, remember us? Wasn't that crazy? Hey, listen, I know I started this broadcast by saying that if any of us got cut off, it's just par for the 2021 vibe. We're all broadcasting from home, doing the best we can. We've got another guest that is a fantastic entertainer as well, who had some internet connectivity issues, but they're here with us now. PineappleCITI, are you in the room? And Tech, can you bring her in? Hey!
Hello. Hello. I'm sorry for showing up to the party late. My internet was being a little weird, but you know, glad to be here with you guys.
You don't even want to know. Last time I was like cables and cords and lights and switches. So I hear you. And I literally started this broadcast with saying that we were going to hopefully get to see you. So this is PineappleCITI for everyone who are the new fans here. I just wanted to take a second to just reflect on the fact that, because I was just chatting with the crew before you joined us, that everyone that's in this conversation is so authentically driving their music in a space that is kind of carving out their own path. And for me, someone who, you know, I'm a man of a certain age, been around the block, each of you are providing a different kind of vibe that I don't know necessarily that I've seen before. And so in your own ways, I really feel like you're trailblazers. And so I want to just toss it to you, so you just join the conversation. When you started in the business, I know that you had a proper job and you decided to walk away from that to really pursue the things that were most passionately connected to who you are. And I'm assuming that's music. And then tragedy struck. And so can you just take us back to that decision of like, you know what, I'm ready. I'm an artist. I don't care what the cost, but I'm really going to lean in to this moment now and just trust the universe will catch me, because I think it's a really inspirational story for those who are facing adversity.
Well, thank you. First off, but yes, man. I feel like everybody kind of has those type of journeys. I was actually a daycare teacher, believe it or not. I had like my own classroom, and you know, I've always loved kids, but clearly, you know, it wasn't my calling. And I remember one day, my boss came in, and I used to make up songs for the kids, like, you know, to help them learn, and it was crazy. She came in, she's like, wow, you're so great. You should do a children's album. And I was like, you know, it's time for me to get out of here. It's time for me to before I get too
No,
up.
you didn't want any puppets with? You didn't want to
like, yeah. So, you know, and you know, teaching or daycare or anything is an extremely, you know, hard job. I give it up to everybody who does it, but for me, it just wasn't my calling. And you know, it took me a second to really put, you know, everything into that leap of faith. You know what I'm saying? It took me a second. And but the moment that I decided to do that, everything happened so quickly and it became so rewarding. Like I quit my job in 2 weeks. Well, actually a week after that, I met my producer. Before that, I was just like getting beats offline and stuff like that. I met my producer a week later. We made my album in 2 weeks. And then about a month later, I put it out, and you know, it started picking up steam. Crazy thing is, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks after putting out that album and stuff starting to take off, I got into a car accident and I couldn't walk for 2 years. So it was a crazy journey. But I wouldn't change it for anything, because like I said, as soon as I took that leap of faith, everything started going in the right direction for me. In the midst of that car accident, I knew, just still being here, I knew that there's a bigger purpose for my life. You know what I'm saying? There's something that I'm still here for, you know, and I feel like if you still got breath in your lungs, you're not done yet.
Right. I agree. I love that. And, you know, you have this quote, which just stuck with me as I was reading your bio. It says, my perspective belongs to me. I'm young, Black, gay, and disabled at one point. And even though I stand for these minorities, I'm making something identifiable. Sorry, it's a late night, to a large audience. That really stuck with me about how you were like, the intersectionality of all the things that I represent. Yes, they are pieces of me, but my goal is to make something that when you hear it, you know it's me.
Right. Absolutely. I feel like it's important. Representation is so important. You think about our new vice president and what that means to little brown and Black girls all over the world, not just the United States. Mm-hmm. So just thinking from that angle, like I always just wanted to inspire people past the moment of you know, everybody hits rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? We go through those periods in time, and we just have to, you know, get through them as much as we can and persevere. I think my message is just always persevere, have faith, and no matter what, just keep believing in yourself.
Right. I 100% agree with that. I think that's I think it's one of the biggest key parts. And, you know, when you're a kid, everyone's always said, be yourself, or just like, you know, you're unique and special. Just trust that. And I think it's funny as we get older, how like we need to be so often reminded that we are enough. And, you know, one of the best things about hosting Vibe with Pride here is being able to stalk you guys for a while, but like to really get into it. And just, I end up feeling so deeply connected to not just your music, but like your stories. And it's so interesting because each of you come from different areas and authentically have bled into the fold parts of your own journeys. So I have a question, which I'll just offer it up to the room, or we can go round robin. But when you have situations happen and they are about a person, where is the line for you as an artist to like, are you gonna, is it like, if I knew you, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's definitely about that person? Or are you like mindful of like thinking, okay, you know, people might know this person. Let me figure it out because, and you know, I know because I was thinking about some of the music videos and the stuff, and I think for me when I was watching you know, some of the stuff, I was like, is this a real person? And if it is, like, would we ever know? Or like, is it, you know, so or is it based on your experience, or is it like also just like, I'm gonna take a little bit of this and that relationship, and make a thing? Anybody want? Oh, everyone's like, I am not telling. So
I didn't want to be the first one to go, but I'll go.
Okay, you go, Sarah, from Transviolet. Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I think every time I write, I try to keep it somewhat ambiguous if it is about a specific person.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, and it's, I mean, don't get me wrong, some people totally deserve to be called out. but yeah, for my own sanity and just for my own, you know, not having to deal with the drama of that, I keep it ambiguous enough to where it's like, is it about me? Is it not about me? And also I think there's a very petty part of me that's like, even though it is about them, I'm not going to let them know it's about them. They don't get to have a song about them. Like, that's not going to be a thing. So I keep it, yeah, I keep it kind of discreet in that way. And even like a few of our songs, you know, they sound like love songs, but it was like very specifically about like label situations we were in and just like the heartbreak I was enduring over that. But I wrote it in a way to where it does sound like a really toxic relationship. And it was a toxic relationship, but it was a toxic relationship with a label.
Wow. And PineappleCITI, when I see your videos, one of the things I wish was that they were around when I was coming up, because I remember, like, you know, we had to just impose that our favorite rappers maybe could have liked girls. Like, you know, you watching a Missy Elliott video, like, yeah, she called family. You know, none of that was true, but like you're so searching when I was a kid. You know, like I'm 41 now, and 20 years ago I would have like, you know, loved to have seen myself reflected in. And I think one of the things that really struck me with your videos was there you are with such swagger and these ladies around you. And to be honest, I hadn't really seen it done as successfully, and it's so profoundly like where your songs give me earworm and I'm like in the groove with them. So what has that experience been like for you, especially, you know, being a rapper in a male dominated industry? Actually, all you ladies, because, you know, I know that it's mostly male producers and stuff, but I want to start with you, Pineapple. Like, what's that experience been like to kind of be, because I'm sure those DMs are popping for you.
Oh man, well, first off, like I said, representation is important. So I'm glad that, you know, people nowadays get to see something that they might have been missing before, or something I didn't see as a kid, you know. So yeah. I'm happy to be able to provide that aspect. Honestly, it's really crazy because I've never really like put much thought into all of the things that I stand for. I just stand for a lot of things. And so when people come to me and say, wow, like, you know, you did a video and you just look so like it looks effortless or whatever, it's because it's just like my real life. Like I'm just being me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the most important thing is like authenticity. And I think it just shows through. Sometimes when I'm like writing music, or honestly all the time when I'm writing music, I don't go into it saying, okay, well, this song is going to change this specific type of person, or it's going to reach this specific type of, you know, it's just like, I make good music and I just want people to listen to it no matter what. And I'm glad that I'm able to, you know, provide an aspect of the game that might have been missing for a while.
I think that just completely highlights the point we were talking about earlier, which is like, if you're being authentically you, it's like you're not even like trying to sell anything. You're like, listen, this is my experience, have a window in. And if I can take that over to Flavia for a second, when you were interviewed by Billboard Pride 2 years ago, it was like back in 2019, there was this quote in there, and I think I talked about it in the radio. But you said, as a bisexual woman, I feel I need an equal balance of masculine and feminine love in my life, which is literally walking me every day. But like, I get the vibe, and I was like, I thought it was beautifully said, because I felt like a lot of people, and I know that was in reference to, you were talking about I Don't Want to Be Here, the song, that was what the context was. Mm-hmm. But can you share a little bit more about that feeling and that vibe? Because when I was coming up, they would always like shame people who identified as bisexual, like, oh, it's a gateway, or oh, they're not, you know, they're just on their way. And in my now as an older person, I recognize that's 100% not true. You know, it's just a weird thing that people said back then. The bisexual humans are real and they are here to stay, and it makes folks feel uncomfortable sometimes, but I loved the way you expressed yourself about that. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll start with saying that I have since identified more as pansexual to be more inclusive of the trans community.
Me too. Like, I didn't even consider that we didn't have that language when I was younger, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know.
Well, when I came out as bi, in my mind, it was still operating in some kind of binary where I'm like, okay, well, if you identify as a boy, then I date boys. And if you identify as a girl, I date girls, you know? And that didn't matter whether someone was cis or trans. But of course now, our language has developed and there's non-binary and there's everything in between. And so just to be as inclusive as possible, I identify more as pansexual because for me, it's just about people, not about the gender. But I have a lot of masculine and feminine energy. 100%. Yeah. 2:30 now.
Listen, I so appreciate you staying up because you are overseas.
I turn into a pumpkin after midnight out here in the countryside. So, yeah, I have a lot of masculine, feminine energy in myself as well, and it's very important that I nurture both sides, whether it's within my own expression or within the people that I date. And so, and that could even be if I'm dating. For example, if I'm dating a cis male. They also have to be very comfortable with their own innate feminine energy. So it's within the same, it's just, for me, it's also interwoven. Same with if I'm dating, I'm just using cis because to be more extreme with, so often cis men feel like they have to be so afraid of their own femininity.
Just the way we're taught. It's like we're so taught as cisgender men, like that there is, so, and even just coming, like, I'm so happy for this generation of children who have an opportunity to see themselves reflected in all kinds of women, in all kinds of men, and knowing that all those things are okay. Because most of us had to wait till 18 and we can escape. And then we had to figure out, like, where do we fit? And then, you know, oftentimes we would make mistakes that were painful because we didn't have people to look up to, like you guys, and like you artists. And so I want to chat just with Sarah for a second, because one of the things that really struck me about your artistry was also the videos. Your look and the aesthetic and the vibe of the video. It's like, I know this girl, I know these folks, I want to be their friend, I want to party with them. You gave us a window in. I always say that, I kept saying to the team that they felt like indie films to me, like this great indie film that everyone's talking about that's up for some award. And it was just like this window into like this like cool euphoria that I just wanted to party with you. And when the world is open, I'm totally inviting myself.
Yes, let's do it.
But so let's talk about music videos for a minute. And I'm sure you all have different experiences, and I want to go round robin, but I'll start with Sarah. How do music videos come together in your band? Like, how do you guys figure it out? Who does what? And like, where does it begin? I'm sure it begins with the song, obviously, but how do you pull them together? Because fans always want to know.
Yeah, for us, usually I'm the one that kind of conceptualizes the video, because I'm the one writing the lyrics. So I feel like I probably have the most like emotional attachment to the song and the story that it's trying to tell. And the guys are really awesome about kind of letting me take that lead. And it's something I'm really passionate about. And they're glad I'm passionate about it, because it isn't one of their passions. So yeah, for me, it really just starts with like me kind of tuning in to that emotional frequency of what the song is trying to say. And then usually it's just like, I have like one striking visual that comes up, and I'll kind of build the story around that visual. So I'll literally just start like writing just, whatever it is. Sometimes it's like rhinestone cowboy or something crazy, like just whatever it is. And then kind of go from there and build off of it. And then I'll start, kind of getting a storyboard together. And with my process, I usually think like really big, like as if I just had, no limits on budgets, no limits on anything, and then I'll collaborate with a director or producer. And sometimes we have to kind of pare it down if we have a smaller budget. But I like working that way because I feel like it's always easier to scale down than it is to like scale up. And Yeah, I've actually also like had the amazing opportunity of like directing some of our videos too, and like that's been a really fun experience. That happened sort of out of necessity, just like not having the budget to hire a director. But I'm so happy I had that experience and was able to have like that much control over something, because it's helped me communicate with directors now that we work with, and just really being able to get my hands dirty with all the nitty-gritty details.
I love it. And PineappleCITI, over to you. You know, some of the videos you were like writing, like, I don't know if they're like ATVs or whatever, and like I mean, there was a lot of technical. I was like, is this a GoPro on the car? Like, how are they doing this? And then, you know, you also had a fair share of, you said it's just like a window into your life. So if I ever see you, you do like, I'm gonna expect there's gonna be like 8. I'm like, I actually know her. Can I just say hi real quick? Like a harem of ladies have to break through just to say hi to you. I think, yeah. So how do your music videos come to you, and then like what's the process of making them? Because again, there were a lot of moving parts, a lot of people. So
yeah, for me, making music videos is like literally one of my favorite things to do. I love telling a story. I think once you put together a good story along with the song for a video, it enhances it so much. I've just never really been the type of person or the type of artist to just like stand in front of a bunch of cars and like, you know what I mean? Like that's never really been my thing. I've always just wanted to make the story as blatant as possible to everyone watching, and like you said, give people a taste into my life, a look into my life. So one, I'm glad that you like the videos, but realistically, I just listen to the song and just see what comes to me. And honestly, it comes out really great most of the time. So I'm thankful for whatever messages, energy I'm getting from the world that just, you know what I mean, makes it happen. So
I
yeah,
love it. And really, Flavia, you've had beautiful videos as well, including one, Hateful, where you are almost in front of, like, it looks like it could be like, I don't know, like a bell tower, like a clock. There's this round thing and you're fully nude in there. And so like you definitely like, did you see that in your head with someone like, hey, this would be a cool idea because we have this location? Like, how do your music videos come to be? Because, you know, all three of you have beautiful videos that are so uniquely different.
I feel very lucky that my ex-partner was an incredible director, cinematographer, editor, producer, just like a genius. I got to shout out Basil Moraner, Mirage Studio. So he was very much my visual partner in crime. We did almost all my music videos together from the ground up. So I feel very lucky to have been able to make art with him so long, and will continue to do so. But yeah, I think it was always just we put our heads together and decided like what was the visual story we wanted to tell with the song. And sometimes it went along with the story, and you were seeing a visual representation of the music and the lyrics, and other times we wanted to be a little more abstract. So with Hateful, it's a song I did a whole anti-bullying Be Kind campaign around that. And the me nude covered in chains was this representation of me being like in my most vulnerable, raw state, and just kind of presenting myself as I am.
I love it. Before we get to some fan questions, by the way, if you're watching this right now, feel free to start inserting some questions into the chat section. That there is for you. This is your fair warning. But I want to ask you some questions. Just we'll go round robin. Everything's tricky now and different. How do you each find, what is your version of self-care? Like, how do you take you time? What does that look like for you when you just got to unplug and be like, I'm not opening a phone, I'm not doing none of that? Let's start with you, Flavia, since you were talking last.
Sure. Different. I mean, meditation. I love reading books. Nature's a huge thing. Just I think when we're in our worst moments, those are the moments that we forget how to take care of ourselves, and just going for a walk or a run. I mean, I feel 1,000 times better. But when you're in that moment, you just want to curl up and, I don't know, like lay in bed and just feel sorry for yourself. And music as well. Music is such, either listening to music, dancing to music, writing my feelings out. Those are all my ways. Meditation, yoga, my ways of staying sane.
What about you, Pineapple City? What do you do to like get in touch with you? What's like just you time?
Man, I love to write. I like writing. I'm a Pisces, so put me anywhere next to water, nature. For me, that really sets the tone. And I love to travel. I mean, it's been really terrible last year and beginning of this year for me, because I usually travel at least 10 to 12 times out the year. So like just sitting at home, me and my girlfriend kind of looking at each other like, but yeah, I mean, I love spending time with my girl and my dog. I have a little a pug and a poodle mix.
I've got a he's not in the room, but I have a pug. I think he's Chihuahua pug. He's got a snout, so I don't know, but he's
yeah. I mean, like we actually got her during the pandemic, so she's been a joy and also a terror at times.
100% equal parts both. I totally get it.
Yes. But I also love I love gaming and just like spontaneous stuff. Like me and my girlfriend last week, we just randomly went to the Poconos, went wine tasting. I'm like, man, we're bored at home. Like, let's just be spontaneous and do what we can during this pandemic as safely as possible.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And Sarah, what about you? What's you time look like?
Yeah, I've really been leaning into my meditation practice during this time, same as you, Flavia, I guess. Yeah, and really that's been helping me a lot, kind of deal with whatever emotions come up. And I guess something new to this quarantine specifically that I didn't have before in my meditation practice was like, I'm not always just like vying for bliss. Like sometimes I need to just like let whatever emotion comes up. And if I'm just going to sit there and cry for 20 minutes, like that's what's going to happen. Also, like, this is going to make me sound so crazy, but like screaming at the top of my lungs, like sometimes I'll just be in my apartment. I just got to scream it out. And that feels really great sometimes, just to let out that rage or that frustration. Also like hiking.
I have to be honest. I don't think I've I just nodded, but then I scrolled and I'm like, I don't think I've ever done that.
You should do it. It's crazy.
I should.
It's like crazy amazing. It's like, it feels so good to do. And it's actually like, it was something I was really scared to do and I didn't do it. It was actually my therapist that like had the idea and was like, you should try doing it. And I was just like, oh God, that sounds like so nuts. But then once I started to do it, it actually gave me a lot of inspiration for my music and some of the newest songs I've been working on. I've actually like involved like screaming in the songs, which is like super different for me, because most of my songs are very like pop and like pretty, but to like kind of have that element of having something really raw and rough and unrestrained feels really good. And then also like hiking. I've been loving just like going on early morning hikes when no one's there and just like
there's the nature.
The mountains.
I get it.
I know. Yeah.
We got wine tasting in the Poconos. We got this one over here, Flavia's running around. Transviolet screaming in the woods. So what is the thing you are dying to do most when you can safely hang out with your friends again? What's the thing that you miss with your like fam friends doing the most that just now it's not really safe to do? I'll start with you, Pineapple City, because you were saying it's you and your girl and you went wine tasting, which sounds delicious.
Yes, it was actually, it's called Blue Ridge in the Poconos. You guys should go.
Okay, I'm down.
All of those wines were the extraordinary price of $10. Just had to throw that out there. Yeah, I don't know. Amazing. But yeah, so the first thing I want to do, so me and my music friends and I, we love just getting like a group of people and going somewhere like getting a little Airbnb and just vibing out and just making music, having a good time. So we like to do that kind of like all over the country. And we really haven't been able to do that for like the past year or so. So that's something that I definitely want to get back into because I love little music retreats like that.
If you do it, go live because we want a window in if y'all have some time for that. Flavia, what about you? What is, like what's the first thing you want to do?
I want to kiss my friends.
I know.
I want to smooch them to death. And then I really want to go dancing. Oh, I want to dance so bad, like with so many sweaty bodies.
I know. I miss taking my shirt off and just. Sarah, what about you? What's the one thing you want? You want to do with your friends when the world reopens? And then I'm going to get to the fan questions.
Yeah, I feel Flavia with the sweaty bodies and dancing. That sounds great. And also, I miss my group of friends and I used to have like these art nights where we'd all just like get together at someone's house and like paint, or like we'd have some kind of like art project we were doing, or like some, everyone would be working on their own thing, maybe like a costume for a music video or a sculpture or something. And that was always so cool. And yeah, I miss that a lot.
I want to invite to that.
Yeah, you can come on over. You're all invited next one when we
I
think
love
this.
This first question comes from Haley, and Haley's asking, what is your favorite thing to eat before a show? But I'll happily take before or after.
Ooh.
For me, it's a smoothie.
Go ahead.
I like smoothies.
Smoothies.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a specific flavor?
Like anything with like peanut butter and banana and chocolate, like that kind of, like a very
like a monkey. I think it's like a chocolate monkey at the place I used to go to. It was called. Flavia, what about you? What do you can you eat much before a show, or are you more like you eat
before
after?
Show, my stomach's in knots, and so I'm. It's a little tough for me. But afterwards, whoo, she's ravenous.
Give those fries.
PineappleCITI, what about you?
Oh man, yeah, I'm the same. I can't really eat before show. It's like I have no hunger, no anything. Like don't even talk to me for more than 5 minutes. Like I just need to get home. But I'm vegetarian, so anything like vegetarian or vegan. I have a thing with like mushrooms right now, like flatbread pizza with mushrooms on it. For me, is just like top tier. I don't know what's going on. It's been a thing for me for like the past month, so that's how I do it right now.
Do you have a site? Why have you Pineapple? Austin is asking. First place you would travel for a vacation post pandemic.
I really, my girlfriend and I were just looking at Hawaii. I've never been, but I really want to go. And I have a timeshare, and it's like this random little island. Please don't ask me to pronounce it because it's crazy. But just this little island that's supposed to be like the old school Hawaii, like it's not like the tourist part, and there's like only one hotel on the island. And so we kind of just wanted to, take that vacation and just have a little secluded area just to be like away from it all, but like around things at the same time. If that makes sense.
Flavia, what about you? Where are you going first vacation where you just get to unplug and chill?
Oh my god.
Or a party. I mean, listen, a vacation is what you want it to be. What I don't want to impose.
Well, let's see. I wanna go back to Burning Man. That's always saying that, but
no, I got you. Listen, I'll take that as an answer. How about you, Sarah, from Transviolet? Where you want to head to for vacation when the world is open?
I really want to go to Japan. I wanted to go for so long, and that's on my hit list next. Japan.
I love it. So Oscar is asking, how do you cope with FOMO during these times, if at all? Like the fear of missing out. I'm personally in the space where I'm like, look, I'm not. If it's not, when I don't know if you ladies suffer from FOMO. I'm kind of like, I feel like I like my path, I like my journey, so I don't really always have like a fear of someone else's missing out of someone is doing. But do you ever experience FOMO, fear of missing out?
I'm pretty bad with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's for this room. I think this room is like, no, I'm doing my thing. So what about from RJ Rose? What is your favorite guilty pleasure food? Now I feel like flatbread, mushroom pizza. Now I know what to buy. PineappleCITI, I got you. But ladies, what about you, Flavia? What's your like guilty go-to, if there is a guilty?
That's with eggplant, like anything eggplant. My favorite dish as a kid forever is eggplant parmigiana.
Yes.
My God, but anything eggplant. I have there's something wrong with me because I
love it. I grew up making it. I'm Puerto Rican Italian, so it's like I grew up making that. So it's like I used to love slicing it.
I'm coming over when I'm loud.
Yeah. Sarah, what about you? What's like the thing that's like really just like, oh God, it's so delicious. I need it.
I've been really obsessed with this restaurant near my house called El Cocinero restaurant. It's like this it's this vegan like burrito shop in Van Nuys, and it's amazing. They have like jackfruit, they have like carne asada, and like al pastor, and it's just like It's so good. I actually got one last night, and this is like my second day in a row having one. And there's like half of one in my fridge right now that I'm like dreaming of at this moment.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Been there, and it is amazing. You're absolutely right.
So good. And I always make them like add fries in mine. Like I'm like, just want more potatoes, more fries, like fries and everything.
Yeah. So before I ask you, you know, what you have going on, I'm going to go one more question, and then we're going to do round robin. But this one is, how do you feel about the way LGBTQ plus folks, like the way we're all kind of clumped? I don't know. I actually don't want to read this question because I think it was typed wrong and I'm reading it out of a weird place. So I'm not going to repeat what I read. I'm going to ask this question. Do you feel like there's a different impetus on you because all of you are part of the community, and do you feel different pressures as an artist from a community who's looking to be seen? Like, do you feel any kind of pressure from that ever? Because sometimes it feels like folks have either, you know, they have in their mind of the way they like to see things, but we're all unique creatures with different ways of expressing how we are.
I think it's always weird when like you're asking someone from a community to like speak for a community. Like, yeah, I'm queer, but like that doesn't like define who I am. Like, it's a part of who I am, but it's like, it's weird to just like ask me like as an artist what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
yeah. No, I was on Queer Eye in the beginning. It was like the first all out gay cast, and suddenly it was like the five of us were supposed to represent every single queer person that existed, and I was like, that's not possible. You know, I represent me, and if you find something that you see that you resonates with you, but my experience is mine, I want to lift everyone up, but I certainly can't speak for my neighbor. You know,
right?
Yeah.
I feel like if you met one person in the community, you've just met one person in the community. Like, there's no way like to for me or anyone to represent everybody as a whole. And another thing too is like, you don't want to be like labeled as your like, you don't want to be labeled as your stereotype, right? So I don't go into things like, for example, I'm a rapper, and the first thing they'll say is, oh yeah, so this female rapper, PineappleCITI, is killing it. And it's like I mean, and don't get me wrong, that's cool, but it's like, I also don't want it to be like, this lesbian rapper, PineappleCITI. It's like, you know, don't define me by things that make up who I am. Like that, you know, it's not all of me.
You're like, Alex, a dope rapper, but
right. Yeah, thank you. Give me like the hottest rapper around. Like,
right, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like all of us in our own way probably feel like that, you know, where, you know, I don't necessarily, you know, want to speak for everybody in that sense. I feel like that's where you start feeling that pressure of, well, nothing I say is going to stand for everyone. Someone's going to be upset about this. Someone's going to be rubbed the wrong way. And I think that it's such a beautiful thing that we're stepping into a place where there are so many different representations of what it means to be a part of this community, because that, you know, that way everybody can just be okay with being themselves. You know what I mean? So I'm happy with where we're going right now.
I agree. And I'm going to ask you that we can go round robin with this one. I'll start with you, Flavia. For those who are watching right now and they want to create art and they want to create music, but they kind of feel like, you know, they're on their own. They don't have the support, you know, wherever they are right now. What would you say to these folks? I don't even want to say young folks, because I know some older folks who are still trying to figure out how they can get in touch with that part of themselves. And so what would you say for folks who are really looking to do this, but just scared to take the leap?
Yeah, I think it's never too late to learn something. Just you got to start somewhere. My biggest successes in terms of figuring out who I am as an artist and my message and honing in on my craft came from my biggest failures or my biggest frustrations, where I couldn't find the team that I needed to book shows or management or label. And so I had to learn to do all these things, learn the business, learn to produce. That's when I started writing my best songs. And so when things are hard, sometimes that's actually the most beautiful moment to help you figure out your own way and to do things independently. I think we all think, oh, well, I don't know how to do this, so I need someone to do this part for me and this part. It's like, nah, just learn it all.
I gotta tell you, that was like, let me tell you, that working from home and doing like shows in my room and like doing sound and lighting and getting the amps and all the thing, like, and the mixer, and I'm like, what the heck is my world? And I have a new respect for it. But I waited so long because I thought, I don't know how to do this, and out of necessity, I learned those skills. PineappleCITI, I want to talk to you because you've had so many great collaborations, and you've written for folks, and you're in the studio with Kelly Rowland, who is fantastic. I met her back in the day and hung with her. But she, there's a lot of folks looking up to you in many ways as a trailblazer, carving out this path of being a dope rapper, we're gonna say. But they might see you in this lane of dope rapper and feel like you're one of a few who are really carving out because of the intersectionality of who you are, and they might not have the confidence right now to continue that path. They got the skill. What would you say to them?
Man, first I would say you already have everything you need to be successful, and you're always exactly where you're supposed to be. That's one thing that I've learned over the years. Sometimes I don't know. I'm in the stocks and stuff like that, right? Like sometimes before a stock shoots up, it has to have like a consolidation period, or sometimes it drops. Or you think about an arrow and how you have to pull it back sometimes before it hits the bullseye. We all have these moments in which either we feel like we hit rock bottom, or we feel like we don't possess the things necessary to get to a level of success of where we want to go. I'll tell you, 2016, like I said, I was a daycare teacher, and now I've had billboards in Times Square. Like I've got an acting cameo on Netflix. There's so many things, and it's a blessing. But I'm not an anomaly. I'm not an anomaly, and all you have to do is believe in yourself, no matter what. There's so many things that could have taken me out if I let it. Doctor told me that I may never walk again. If I accepted that as my destiny, I may not be walking right now, but I would close my eyes in the hospital every night and visualize walking. And I feel like as long as people know how powerful they are, how powerful their ability to manifest is, there's no limit to your success, for real.
Yeah, and I fully agree. And speaking of no limits, Sarah, the moxie you had to say we're going to try to come at music and promotion in another way is probably likely so inspirational or aspirational to bands who are still performing in their garage right now because everything is shut down, but maybe they don't necessarily think that people will see them. You made people see you. You made people you made your band a part of a conversation. And so I guess to the bands who are watching, queer bands, cisgender, straight bands, whatever, the musicians who want to create art that's positive, put it in the world, but feel like their voices won't be amplified, you found a way. What would be your message to these bands?
I'd say your story is so important, and each of us, we have so many different stories to tell. And I do believe that in telling those stories, that's what brings us closer. That's what fosters compassion and empathy. And if you let that be the driving force of your art and you try to stay authentic to telling your stories in the most honest way, you'll find a way out around all the obstacles. And it's just a matter of like you were saying earlier, Jai, of just taking each opportunity where you feel that frustration of like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. Like, how am I going to get this song out? Or like, how in this landscape of, this virtual world, am I going to make a music video right now? If you can look at those challenges as ways to strengthen yourself and use that resistance to help you grow, the possibilities are endless.
It's so true how when we are at the moment in our careers or our lives, as PineappleCITI had, where people say this might be the end for you, it's our resilience that and how we push through that speaks to our integrity as artists. And I think the one thing sort of at this crossroads of where we are, this hard pause that we're all forced to experience, the one thing I learned this year was wow, I know what I'm made of. I know where my strength comes from. And it's not from outside validation or going to castings or having, being, in an environment where I thought I had to wait for someone else to bestow me with some kind of, thing. We as artists can create wherever we are. And I want to thank each of you so much. I was so incredibly excited for today. We've never done multiple artists, and this was just so special because each of you have inspired me. Just as someone who was young and queer in the early 2000s and got a record deal, and I was on Queer Eye, and it all kind of went downhill because the world wasn't ready for that kind of authenticity at that time. To see you doing what you're doing, LGBTQ plus identities aside, as artists who are not being governed by labels, but instead are just pulling forth this amount of creativity that the world is so eager and hungry for. I just applaud you, and I appreciate you taking an hour out of your time and your morning. For you, Flavia, it's like 3 in there. I thank you all. And by the way, obviously all your socials are listed here. Let's just go quickly. If you want to toss anything out there of what folks should, if you have a destination for them to go to or something in that way. I'll start with you, PineappleCITI. Where should folks be heading?
Yeah, you can check me out. If you Google PineappleCITI, everything will come up. But if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's They Love City, city with an I at the end.
And so scrolling at the bottom, so y'all better follow. You better follow.
Check it out there. I also just did a virtual concert. If you go to my my Instagram, it's the link in the bio. So make sure you guys check that out. I appreciate you guys as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Transviolet, what are y'all up to right now? I know we're all locked down, but
yeah, we're finishing up an album. We have a song coming out next month, so stay tuned for that. It's called Drugs in California. It's out February 19th. We'll have the pre-save up soon. Yeah, if you want to follow us, we're at Transviolet on Instagram and Facebook. We're also on Patreon if you want to help support us, support indie artists. That's awesome. We have a bunch of exclusive content up there, and you get to see sneak peeks of like what we're up to along our process.
I love that.
Yeah.
Flavia, what about you?
I have a single called Ripe coming out next Friday. My pre-save link is up on my Insta at Flavia Speaks. Please pre-save that. That's super helpful to us indies.
That's right.
And
yeah, I was just about to mention that. I do want to say for everyone watching, even if you're watching live or you're watching after this broadcast is live, look, we're all independent artists working from home, and your ability to keep art thriving and manifesting is by your support, whether it's a click or a purchase or a download stream that you pay for. Please do what you can to spread the word about these incredible artists. And if you have a moment, please click their websites, buy their merch, buy their music, support live art, and support LGBTQ plus artists who are really making their way here. I want to thank tonight's artist, Flavia, Sarah from Transviolet, of course, PineappleCITI. And don't forget, February 18th will be our next Vibe with Pride. Till then, I'm Jay Rodriguez. I'll see you next time. Good night. Stay safe. Bye, everyone.
Jay, bye.
Bye. Yeah.